Calgary Recovery Day. We are making history here today as we gather as Calgarians to celebrate the beautiful gift recovery has to offer. Today, 10 cities across Canada join together to rally for recovery and to stand together and start breaking the stigma of addiction. They say we suffer from a disease that has no cure. It may have no cure, but it has a solution. This panel up here will speak about solutions through gratitude and their stories. We also have some of Calgary's leading recovery agencies with us, from detox centers, treatment centers, and holistic approaches. Take time to visit each booth, see what they have to offer, and see what is a fit for your journey. How can we help you in your recovery, or how can we enhance what you are currently doing? It does not matter if you have 10 years, 10 days, or 10 minutes. What matters is that you know you have a choice and you know you have support. This is a disease we cannot fight alone. They say it takes a village to raise kids. Well, I say it takes a village to keep us sober. Look around you. Look at your neighbor. We all have a story. Whether it's a personal journey battling addiction or watching a loved one suffer and or succeed. Regardless, we need each other. We build a better life in fellowship. We grow in fellowship because it is our similarities, not our differences, that matter. We envision a world in which recovery from addiction is a common, celebrated reality. A world where individuals will not experience shame when seeking help. We are passionate about sharing the faces, voices, and stories of recovery in hopes of inspiring and inviting others to join us on the rewarding yet diverse path to wholeness. Together, we will demonstrate the power and proof of recovery from addiction. My story is when I came back into the rooms this time around, I just wanted the answers. Nothing more, no new friends, no coffee dates. I just wanted the pain and self-loathing to go away. I did not expect that this would be a lifelong program. I am so grateful that people embraced me where I was and gently spoke their truth. It awakened something in me, and the fierceness of my recovery began. I am grateful every day. I am grateful that I have peace of mind. I am grateful that I'm getting comfortable in my own skin. I see the effects of the work I am doing spill over onto my family, and the ripple effect of recovery is automatic. My kids are better because I am real and the masks are off. Today, we come together to celebrate our strength. We come together today to raise awareness that this disease is not about a lack of willpower. We just don't need to just say no. We all have an inner addict inside of us in some shape or form. Perhaps that's why there is such stigma around it. Being an active drug and or alcohol addict does not paint a picture of a bright future. What paints a bright picture is walking through the raw emotions of who we really are and becoming okay with that. Learning to let go of shame, learning to forgive, learning to have compassion, learning to walk with gratitude, learning to believe in a power greater than ourselves, serving others, and working a program of recovery, and learning to have a voice. If we can recognize this, then we have the power to change it. This is what will save us from our self-destructive patterns. This offers us a chance not just to survive, but to thrive. I want to thank our panel of speakers today, and His Worship Mayor Nenshi for being here. For being here and offering his support and gratitude of recovery and recovery advocacy. We have a signed proclamation from Mayor Nenshi saying September 8th, 2013 is Recovery Day in Calgary. This is the first ever. Joining us today and sharing is Mr. Sheldon Kennedy, NHL star and founder of the Sheldon Kennedy Advocacy Center. Stacey Petersen, Executive Director of Fresh Start Recovery Center. Dr. Raju, Hajela, Addictionist, Medical Director of Health Upwardly Mobile. Linda McKenzie, Recovery Advocate with 33 years clean. Bruce L., 7 months clean and sober. Curtis Boudreau, Executive Director of Smart Recovery and 8 years clean and sober. Michael Parkin, he's a writer and he's a slam poet. and Braden S. And our inspiring musical guest, Patrick Stosh. A few logistics before we get started. First aid kit and nurse are located at the far right corner beside Cafe Carne. We brought in Tim Hortons coffee. You can find it at the Recovery Day booth, which is back over there, and bathrooms are stage right. Let's get this day started, my brothers and sisters. Maclayne's going to read our proclamation. I want to welcome Maclayne. She is my girl, and she has lived with me as a person in active addiction, and she has seen the changes recovery and my higher power have worked in my life. I am honest with her about my journey, and this girl says, I love you no matter what. To be loved with all our broken pieces exposed, Maclayne, is the gift you bestow upon me. Maclayne is a songwriter and artist, and I tell her, if nothing else, at least I've given you good material to write about. Maclayne will now read the Mayor's proclamation.
Hi. Recovery Day aims to build awareness about addiction and celebrate the role that recovery plays in improving life for individuals, families, and communities. Recovery Day event activities in Calgary include high-profile guest speakers and educational opportunities to learn more about recovery from addiction. Recovery Day brings recognition to the efforts of citizens and their families, organizations, and facilities committed to recovery from substance and abuse disorders. The goal of Recovery Day is to influence change on public perceptions and reinforce that recovery works and is making life better for millions of people. Calgary will be one of 14 cities across Canada to host Recovery Day, with the endorsement of the Canadian Addiction Counselors Certification Federation. On behalf of the City Council and the citizens of Calgary, I hereby proclaim September 8th, 2013 as Recovery Day. I'm so happy to have a mayor like Nenshi, who acknowledges recovery as an open and important issue across Canada. It is my honor to introduce His Worship, Mayor Nenshi.
Well, I'm actually going to very rarely not talk very much. Well, let's see how I do. The other people who are here with me on stage that you'll be hearing from in just a moment have a great deal more to add of value than I do today. But I do want to say that it's important for all of us to be here today. It's a rare family in our community that has not been touched by addiction, and certainly that complex nexus of addiction and mental health and being in community is one that we all struggle with. We have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of work to do to improve our systems, to make them more accessible, to ensure that people get the help they need when they find the courage to beat their own addictions. But I think an important part of that is to make sure that we take away the stigma of talking about addiction and talking about the nexus between addiction and mental health. We don't have a problem talking about prostate cancer, for example. And we have to make sure that we can talk about mental health and talk about addictions issues with that same level of openness. It's only by bringing these things into the light of day, into the sunshine, that we together as individuals and a community can start to address them. And that's why Recovery Day is so important, because it gives us a chance to put away the shame and to put away the silence and to have an honest conversation about issues around addiction and, more importantly, about success stories around recovery. And you're going to hear a lot of those today, and you should be very proud, and I hope everyone leaves here inspired to work for themselves and for their loved ones to build their own stories of recovery. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Mayor Nenshi. Our first speaker is Braden S. Today is his 16th birthday, and he is my son. When I first got clean, I thought I would never share who I really was with my children. After 6 months of being clean, because of their age, they had never thought that I was even a drinker. I thought I did it. I thought I fooled them. I had gotten away with my alcoholic behavior. I thought I spared them the story of growing up with an alcoholic parent. In my second year of being sober, I realized how wrong and actually debilitating my actions of hiding this were. I came clean. I told them my story. I told them about my disease of alcoholism, the stigma of shame I had attached to it, and how scared I was to show them I was not perfect. I was finally willing to shatter this illusion. I told them my story because I realized if I cannot share and empower them to be compassionate towards this disease, how can I expect anyone else to be? Please welcome Braden.
Hi, everyone. My name is Braden, and I come from 2 alcoholics and drug addicts. When I was 2, my dad died from a drug overdose. This event has changed my views on just about everything. For me, drugs and alcohol were out of the picture because I'm kind of like a genetic time bomb. For my mom, that event changed her life. For the first time, she didn't stop using, but instead she popped pills and drank almost every night when I was asleep. My mom never ever wanted to let me see her drunk or high. She didn't want me to see the alcohol and drug abuse until I was about 10. I was getting curious because I was reevaluating if my dad really died from eating too many cheeseburgers. I was at a lake and I was pestering her for a while about my dad, how he really died. And then she came up to me and said, "I need to have a talk to you about your dad." She told me how my dad died from a drug overdose and how he was a drug addict. I started crying for days at night when everyone was asleep. I would just cry. My mom was still using, but I don't know how much at this point because she kept it a shameful secret. Just before my 12th birthday, she stopped. She got so drunk the night before that she decided she had to stop or else she was going to end up like my dad. She started attending meetings and she started really believing in herself for the first time in her life. In those first few months, she changed from being a self-conscious, confused, emotionally unstable person to a strong, smart, rational, and in short, a great mom. For me, when she got clean was when I felt like I could talk to her about school and my friends. She started being invested in me, watching over me, protecting me, understanding me like she never did before. She started really caring in my choices daily. She told me about everything when she was a couple years clean. She was there for me when I needed her, and even when I didn't, she was still there for me. She started loving me more and more every day. She was just the best mom you could ask for. I'm not saying alcoholics or drug addicts make bad parents, but sober ones are amazing parents. When addicts drink, they aren't who they are. At the time when they're using, they're just trying to cover up the fact that they are hurt and damaged people. But when you make the choice to get clean, it is the best choice in your life because you find out who you really are, and your whole life opens up. You find out that you're not alone, and you have tons of people who are there for you. At least for my mom, that was the case. My dad never got the opportunity to get clean like my mom did, and I wish he was here to see my mom, and I can only picture how proud he would be of her. Drug abuse and alcoholism changes your whole social group. Whether you're a sibling of one, a grandparent of one, or even a friend of one. It changes everything for the better when you get clean, and my mom is a perfect example of that. She attends meetings weekly and sometimes brings me to see what it's like and how sobriety is going to be a huge part of my life. My mom is the best person I know. She is, in short, a perfect mom. She just hit 4 years, so can we please all give her a hand for that? Mom, I love you so much, and I'm so proud of you, and I wouldn't be who I am today if it wasn't for you getting clean. I love you for that.
Thank you, Braden. Our next speaker is Bruce L. I met Bruce 20 years ago when we were both in active addiction. He was friends with my first husband. We have lived through many tragedies together, always avoiding each other because the pain was too real. Today, we share many triumphs. Here is his story. Please welcome Bruce.
I'd like to thank the organizing committee for asking me to speak today here. Honorable Mayor, distinguished speakers, friends in recovery, and guests, welcome. My name is Bruce. I'm in long-term recovery, which means I've been clean and sober for 7 months and 9 days. Gratitude is a state of being grateful, thankful. It is a word that has eluded me for 35 years of my addiction. I took my first drink at 12 and my last drug at 47. That first drink was euphoric and I was immediately hooked. And throughout my teenage years, I was always the last to leave the bar, last to leave the party. And through my early adolescence, as I worked overseas, I developed a lifestyle of work hard, play hard, drink harder. I would pay the ultimate price for this. On November 30th, 1998, while residing in the United States, I was heavily intoxicated. I got in my vehicle and I struck 4 women in theirs. One of those women died a week later in the hospital as a result of her injuries. Her name was Carmen, and she was 20 years old. This event, however, was not enough to make me stop because my disease was so deeply manifested inside of me that I couldn't stop and wouldn't stop. And I came back to Canada and I tried treatment in 2004, but I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready to surrender. I wanted control. And thus began a 9-year relapse. And it got progressive, and particularly in the last 2 years of heavy alcohol and crack cocaine abuse. And one morning I woke up and I was beaten down and I was broken and I was desperate and I was lonely. I was tired. I was tired of living this way. And I reached out to a dear friend in recovery. She suggested that the only option now was treatment again. So I walked into the facility on my own accord with a little bit of hope. And during that process, I acquired some tools. I peeled back the layers and I broke down some walls. And gratitude became an everyday part of my vocabulary. Today, I have no guilt, shame, or fear. It has been replaced with a new sense of freedom, joy, and serenity. Today, I'm empowered by my recovery. Today, I'm grateful for my new life in recovery. To my mother and father and brothers and their spouses, my 3 wonderful nephews, my beautiful niece, and my dear close friends, and my new friends in recovery, and my employer, I thank you for your faith and support in guiding me here, right now, this moment. To all the men and women who work in the field of recovery, who give unselfishly of their time to put lives like myself back together, I thank you. So I left treatment, started to become a responsible member of society, gained trust with my employer, and I found a place to live. And when I moved in, I unpacked. And one of the last boxes I unpacked was a box with all the legal documents in it. And deep, buried in that box, was a letter from the mother, conveyed through her lawyer. Dear Bruce, the mother has asked me to convey these thoughts to you on her behalf. She has forgiven you and harbors no ill feelings towards you. She wishes you success in your efforts to make a difference through education. She appreciates the expressions of support that you and your parents have provided. To the mother and her words, I will always be forever grateful. Thank you. Have a wonderful recovery day.
Thank you so much, Bruce. Our next speaker is Curtis. He is 8 years clean and the Executive Director of Smart Recovery. He has been helping put Recovery Day together with the team, and how I have experienced him is that he is kind, willing to do what it takes, and wants to hold out his hand for those in recovery that want it. Please give a warm welcome for Curtis.
Welcome, everybody. I'm very, very excited to be up here today. And I guess I'll, from the movie that, I am Curtis, and I am in long-term recovery. I have been clean for 99 months. And at 8 years and 3 months, for anybody who's not doing the math, but September 20th will be 100 months for me, so I'm excited, right? Since this day is about recovery, not addiction, I'll summarize my history as I started mood altering when I was 12. I was severely brain injured, with a broken neck in 3 places, ruptured spleen, and collapsed lung in 1995. It was just a few days after I turned 21. By 2005, I desperately was in need of help. I checked into detox April 5th, 2005, and that's where this story begins. After detox, my parents brought me to ADAC, which is now Alberta Health Services Mental Health and Addiction. They thought it would be best suited for the Smart Recovery program. Well, Smart Recovery was great, but it was only meant 2 nights and 1 morning a week, so I had 5 nights to fill. I thought it'd be better to be at any meeting of recovery than at any of the pubs or clubs that I used to hang out at. I went to a 12-step meeting and found that I connected with many of the members and what they had to share. I now had 7 nights and 1 morning filled with meetings. My family was there to provide me some balance in my life, which was huge. Right away in recovery, I dreamed, wouldn't it be cool if Smart had an office in Western Canada and I could do recovery for a living? Well, I started facilitating meetings at 6 months clean, and I thought, hey, my friends are really getting better with that 12-step stuff too, so I got a sponsor, worked the steps, which took me 12 months to complete fully. At 1 year clean, I found myself running Smart Recovery Calgary. I called the executive director, Sherry, in Mentor, Ohio. I asked, is it possible to eventually get a paycheck working for Smart? She told me, no, all the positions are volunteer except for hers and Jody's, who runs the central office bookstore. She did, however, let me know that if I could build Smart in Western Canada and generate my own funding, I could then receive a paycheck. I was licensed to run Smart Recovery Alberta in my 2nd year of recovery. At about 1 year clean, I wanted to get the word out about what Smart had to offer, and I wanted to start growing the program in Calgary and gain acceptance. That's when I started knocking on doors and presenting Smart to as many people that I could get in front of. This includes people with addiction concerns, treatment professionals, doctors, governments, centers, and anyone basically working in the recovery field who would listen to me. I continue with that work today. I recognized very early on that if I didn't have some fun in recovery, things were going to get really difficult. So I joined the activities committee of the 12-step program I was in, and I ended up sitting on that committee for 7 years. I chaired it for 5, and I continue to attend 12-step meetings today, and my service work is limited to helping run my home group on Saturday nights. I don't have a lot of time to volunteer today, as my Smart work has grown into a full-time position for me. My social/spiritual outlets today are taken care of by attending church on a regular basis and, of course, attending anywhere from 1 to 4 12-step meetings a week. I facilitate 2 meetings a week and do 1 or 2 presentations each week for Smart. I also answer the phone 12 hours a day and do all of the paperwork and accounting that running a program entails. I consider any recovery-based activity a meeting. This includes not only meeting attendance, but also when I facilitate, present, go to church, see my psychologist, and of course meet with my physician who continues to monitor and prescribe my medication. I currently attend on average about 8 meetings a week. My lifestyle is certainly recovery-based and focused. I recognize that this lifestyle is not conducive to most people's lives, as family, career, socializing, church, and of course recovery need to be balanced in any given week. Since my body and mind require anywhere from 10 to 13 hours a day of sleep in order for me to operate at a professional level as a result of the car accident, I don't have time to have recovery separate from my career, family, socializing, and spiritual growth. So I combined them all into one recovery-based lifestyle. The dream I had 8.5 years ago is being realized today. I've submitted the application to have Smart Recovery Alberta registered as a Canadian charity, and we will be incorporating as a nonprofit organization at that time. Who would have believed that the stuttering kid with a dog and a daytimer who came into recovery over 99 months ago would one day grow into the man who is now the executive director of a soon-to-be registered Canadian charity? I feel more than grateful for the life that recovery has given me one day at a time. I prefer to say I'm blessed. Thank you.
Thank you so much to Curtis. I see some of you guys have Recovery Day banners. Can you hold them up for me? We would like to see them from up on the stage. Fantastic. Fantastic. We believe in recovery. Our next speaker is Linda McKenzie. I first met Linda over a year ago. Linda is a clinical program director and has also held a private practice for over 20 years, specializing in trauma and addiction. She has been in long-term recovery for 33 years. In doing her work, she is able to help many, both personally and professionally. She is an incredible example to us all of how putting one day at a time together, we can build a beautiful and inspired life. It is my pleasure to introduce you to Linda McKenzie.
Thank you very much. Hello everyone, my name is Linda and I am an addict. I stand before you today with 33 years clean and sober as a complete result of being in recovery one day at a time. One day at a time. I came into recovery due to active addiction that took away absolutely everything from me, as I'm sure we can all relate to. The disease left me broken, feeling shame, fear, and despair. My last day out there was on the street, turning $20 tricks and thinking that today I was going to die. And I'm sure that there are a lot of us who can relate to that hopeless state of mind. I came into recovery with a tiny, very tiny flicker of hope, knowing that it was my only chance and that I had heard along the way that it was possible for addicts to get clean. Of acknowledging others, and today, from my heart and my soul, to be up here and not have been on that street for 33 years, to rebuild my education, to have a job where I'm valued and loved and cared for, and I get to be myself, is an absolute miracle. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Linda. Next is Dr. Hajela. Dr. Hajela is an addictionist and the medical director of Health Upwardly Mobile and founder of FAMH, Foundation for Addiction and Mental Health. Dr. Hajela has been on the front lines of addiction treatment and advocacy for over 30 years. Dr. Hajela's mission is to promote awareness related to physical, mental, social, and spiritual well-being. When he speaks, you immediately sense his sincere yet strong resolve to enhance the quality of life for individuals, families, and communities. Please welcome Dr. Hajela.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, all the organizers of Recovery Day. Thank you, Mayor Nenshi, for gracing us with your presence. And thank you all for being here, because your presence here is testament that we can talk openly and honestly about this disease of addiction and related mental health problems that ravage our society and societies across our nation and internationally. Addiction is a disease that is so insidious, and as I often say, that there's no gene pool that's uncontaminated. I'm sure you've heard before and you've heard today about the genetic aspects of this disease. I started medical school over 35 years ago in Halifax, And I can tell you at that time, I was puzzled by why people who are otherwise sane would act in an insane manner. And when I asked my teachers at that time, at worst, what I was told was, these are just bad people, which didn't make any sense to me. And at best, people told me, well, these are people that just have bad behaviors, and it's very difficult to correct habits. But I can stand before you today and say that we have had tremendous amount of research over the last several decades that has clearly established addiction as a brain disease. Addiction is a disease that now is being recognized by the American Society of Addiction Medicine, Canadian Society of Addiction Medicine, and the International Society of Addiction Medicine as a disease of brain reward, motivation, memory, and related circuitry. So it is not just about reward, it's not just about getting high. Rather, we have come to recognize, and as you've heard from the speakers already and you'll hear from other people, that as the disease progresses, people are just looking for relief. People are looking to use or escape just to stay normal. And it is our responsibility as care providers, those of us who are in the healthcare business, and family and friends, to stand by people who are having these problems and not compound the shame that exists as this part of the disease. And in the brain circuitry where this disease resides is the connection to many other feelings and connections that create this underlying basis of shame that people have to deal with and live with every day. I'm grateful to have had this opportunity to learn so much and in the process help other people. And as Lisa shared in my introduction, that the recovery concepts that we use for treating addiction and mental health problems are not limited to just people with addiction and mental health problems. These are principles for recovery, for health and well-being for every one of us. This is a disease that affects every single family. If any of you are sitting there thinking that addiction has not affected your family and friends, please look again. Because we've also come to recognize that this disease goes beyond substances. And as part of the definition of addiction, we've managed to develop 5 simple characteristics that people can identify, which are listed as A, B, C, D, E on our website and through the definition of addiction at CISAM, which are inability to consistently abstain, that's the A, impairment in behavioral control, that's the B, cravings, that's the C, diminished recognition of interpersonal problems, that's the D, and a dysfunctional emotional response. And it is the D and the E that really make this a chronic disease, and as Linda shared, people need to focus on recovery every day, and it is a daily reprieve, because we don't have a cure yet, although many of my colleagues and friends are working towards finding more solutions, and finding solutions behaviorally, but also finding solutions medication-assisted wise, and also finding solutions socially and spiritually, which is why all of us need to stay involved. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for this opportunity. And I wish you all a happy Recovery Day and recovery for your family and friends one day at a time. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hajela. If you do not already know my next speaker, then it is my honor to introduce you to him, Stacey Petersen. When I first met Stacey, I knew he would change my life in a way I could not even begin to recognize at the time. Stacey is a charismatic, kind, compassionate man who understands the addict and has reverence for the human being. He has been the executive director at Fresh Start for 10 years, and before that, Simon House. I have had the privilege of working for him and carrying out the vision of Fresh Start, and I have the great honor of having him as my mentor and my friend. I can say with absolute certainty that this is a man who walks his talk, is honest about his own imperfections, and loves to laugh and laugh at himself. His energy and enthusiasm for recovery and life is contagious. He has spoken of a recovery movement for years. It's amazing to watch him work, and we are blessed to have you speak at this momentous event. Mr. Stacey Petersen.
How's everyone this morning? I wanted to thank Mayor Nenshi, Sheldon Kennedy, the rest of our guests today, and everybody out here. I always get nervous when I come to do these kinds of things, and I think that's kind of good, because the second I think I'm all that and I'm arrived, it's all over but the crying. We all put our pants on the same way. Well, I hope you're wearing pants. That'd be a good thing today. Don't tell me this is going to be a tough crowd, too. I was just kind of sitting here thinking, you know, I was looking around, and the one thing that came to mind was that things have changed so much in the last 25 years, and I suppose I should have opened with I'm a person in long-term recovery, and for me that means I've been clean and sober in a row for almost 26 years. That's a beautiful sound, if you're right. You know, we have been, I think we've been conditioned for so many years through the messages that we've given ourselves to feel ashamed, to feel embarrassed, to feel all those different things about who we are. And you know, this Recovery Day movement, and I think it's a movement, it's a beautiful thing because I see so much courage out here. Like, to be very clear, I know that you know what I'm talking about when I look at you and I say, you have courage by showing up here today. You didn't come for the coffee and donuts. 25, 26 years ago, we couldn't even really talk about it. And I would sit in the rooms and I would go to the meetings and I'm speaking about business meetings, and people would say, it must be really hard to work with those people, right? Alcoholics and addicts are the most talented, amazing, incredible, wonderful people I've ever met in my entire life. And, you know, I kind of wish we had a secret handshake, hey? Or a secret sign. I mean, we kind of do, but it would surprise you to know just how many of us there are out there. I was in San Diego a few years ago, and I was at a world convention for one of those anonymous programs at the level of press, radio, TV, and films. And there was 20,000 of us there, and there was 800 new people. So to me, that tells me that it hasn't really gotten any better out there. Now, Linda was talking about hope for others and stuff like that, and I kind of, you know, one of the funny things I thought, well, is if somebody's out there on Stephen Avenue Mall and they're out there using, and I think we probably messed up your day. And that's kind of all right. I think the number one symptom of addiction is denial. And not just for those afflicted. I think it's for whole communities. You've got leaders like these that will step up and have enough courage to get behind something like this. This movement, I hope, and I'm humbled and grateful to be a part of, is another one of those things that you can go out and say, you know what? It's okay. We know. And there is a solution. I mean, because wouldn't we be in trouble if we said, oh, that's fantastic. Addiction's a chronic illness and have a nice day. There's a solution. There is absolutely a solution. I think that one of the key tenets of all of this, and I think those guys kind of got it right a whole lot of years ago when they put together them anonymous programs, right? There was one hallmark of the entire deal, and it was we. It was we. We cannot do this thing alone. I want to thank you for coming today. It's been my pleasure to be here, and I was saying, I was kind of speeched out by the time I got up here. I didn't write a speech or anything. My son's here in the bright yellow shirt over there. His name's Seth, so if you see him, say, hi, Seth. Hi, Seth. Hi, Seth. He's still at that stage where I can't hug him in public. I love you, son. I get to say that. I'm surprised nobody else is in the pool except for this fellow. It's getting hotter. I look forward to, I say I was a little speeched out because I gave the speech to the kids this morning when they were fighting with each other in the living room. And you know, one of the things I said to Seth in the truck on the way here is I said, you know what? We're supposed to be here to build each other up, not tear each other down. And I hope that that's what we're able to do. We're all in this thing together. It's going to be an amazing movement. It already is. Thank you for your time. Have a wonderful day. What was that? Isn't that good? That's good. I love you too. I was supposed to introduce Sheldon Kennedy. Now, I have this great big long bio, and so I'm just, yeah, I know. I love these guys, right? Because they're not pretentious. Oh, by the way, come out and vote, hey? Next month? I'm not telling you who I'd vote for. Just saying. I love these guys. They're not pretentious. They speak from the heart, and they know that they're on the same page with all of us. But Sheldon here, he was an NHL superstar. 8 years, correct? Tell me if I'm getting this wrong. We're good. I think Sheldon is best known for his courage in speaking about some controversial issues, and has become an inspiration to millions of abuse survivors around the world. He's committed, he's outspoken, and he's a child advocate. His life story was made into an award-winning movie. He's appeared on Oprah, ABC's Nightline, W5, The Fifth Estate, and he was named Canada's Newsmaker of the Year in 1997. Did you have a mullet? Did you have a mullet in 90? You did, eh? A moulet. How many others had moulets? In 98, Sheldon inline skated across Canada to raise awareness of child abuse and donated all $1.2 million in proceeds from the skate to the Canadian Red Cross. In 2006, Sheldon wrote Why I Didn't Say Anything, a riveting account of the many psychological impacts of abuse. He's received several awards for his tireless work, including the Canadian Red Cross Caring Award, Scotiabank Humanitarian Award, an honorary Doctorate of Laws degree from the University of the Fraser Valley, the Diamond Jubilee Medal, the Beyond Borders Media Award, and 2012 Calgary Citizen of the Year. That was awesome. Sheldon has influenced changes in Canadian law and has taken his message to the International Olympic Committee and the United States Senate. You see what we can do. Sheldon sits on the Cal Ripken Senior Foundation Child Protection Advisory, is honorary chair of the National Advisory Committee for 1 in 6 Canada, and he serves on the board of the Sheldon Kennedy Child Advocacy Center, the first of its kind in Canada. I'm almost there. All right. Sheldon continues to influence social change through Respect Group, the company he co-founded that provides empowering online education for the prevention of abuse, bullying, and harassment in youth-serving organizations, schools, and the workplace. And I gotta tell you, just a good guy. Hey? All of that stuff, and I love the fact that, you know, you can just have a real conversation with him, right? So it is my pleasure to introduce Mr. Sheldon Kennedy.
Google, not a fan. Well, I'm just here because I'm one of you guys. I don't work in the field or anything like that, but I sure use the services and so forth that are in this city and other cities to stay on track and keep doing what I'm doing. And yeah, so I guess I should start. I'm Sheldon, I'm an alcoholic. To me, it's all about gratitude. I remember coming in the rooms, and I remember hearing the old-timers in there, and they were talking about, I'm so grateful to be an alcoholic or an addict. And I'm thinking to myself, whatever. You know, like, yeah, right, how do you be grateful doing this? And I get it today. I get it. You know, the gifts of being a father, the gifts of being a friend, the gifts of being able to carry the message that you so want to carry in the right way. And being able to have the strength to do that, and the humility to do that, and just keep putting one foot in front of the other. I think that's the gift. And I always get choked up when it comes to gratitude because, you know, I never thought that the hamsters in the head or the chaos in life would ever stop. I never thought that that would go away. And I can tell you today, it's subsided. It's not as chaotic as it once was, and I've sure found some healthy tools and some great relationships to help navigate my way through life spiritually and one day at a time. And I think that looking back at Sheldon's story, who's kind of unfolded in the media over the last many years, I've been to many treatment centers and struggled to get sober for many years. Spent some time in jail, and today, I stand up here trying to carry a message of hope that there is an opportunity to follow your dreams and be the person you always dream about. And, just keep giving back. I think that that's my message is, I do what I do at the Child Advocacy Center and try to, create conversations, as Mayor Nenshi talked about. It's about creating the conversation. Recovery Day is about being able to have that conversation of an invisible trauma that is with us. And I can't tell you how many people I know that are buried today because of this disease. So it takes leaders. I've been at many functions that are social issues that weren't popular to show up at. And who do I see? My buddy, Mayor Nenshi, without his purple shirt on today. I can't believe it. But he shows up at all of them. And that, to me, that's a leader. Leader is about change. And it takes all of us. It takes all of us to show up. It takes all of us to pull on the rope. It takes all of us to give back. And the time when you get the phone call that you don't want to go for the coffee, that a guy might need help, maybe think again. And to me, that's what it's about. It's giving back, showing up, doing your part, and keeping it simple. Recovery to me is keep it simple. Wake up, say a prayer, ask for some strength to do the right thing, help somebody else, go to a meeting, be grateful that you're sober today. And to me, in closing, I think it's unbelievable that the kids are here. That's what it's about, right? It's about our kids. It's about involving them in recovery, because it's not just the individual. It's a family disease. We all know that. And I'm so... some things changed, because there was a time when I thought that those seagulls would be spying on me. So there is hope, let me tell you. So thanks for coming today, everybody, and thanks for allowing me to share my story.
The seagulls are spies. Thank you so much to Sheldon Kennedy for speaking. So a couple things. We are logging our clean time at the Smart Recovery booth. We're going to do a national, the 12 cities that are part of Recovery Day today. We're all going to have a clean time count. If you'd like to be part of that, you can log your clean time at the Smart Recovery booth. And last but not least is our speaker, Michael Parkin. He's a gifted writer and slam poet. His message in his spoken word and in recovery is raw, transparent, and speaks to the heart. He is a kind soul with a mission to make a difference. Please give it up for Mike Parkins.
Hello everyone, my name is Michael and I am an addict. I am in long-term recovery and today I have 16 months and 11 days. I would just like to start by thanking everyone for coming, for the speakers, and everyone listening and everyone here to share your support, because recovery is my life, and obviously recovery is the lives of everyone else that's here, and it's really important, and it's great to see everyone out here celebrating and promoting, and I just want to say thank you for that. I have 2 poems to share with you today. My first one is called Who I Am, and my second one is called What Have I Done? A little bit fitting. So I'm just going to start right away. Who I am, they didn't want to listen. Though I had ambition, had to be caged up inside, LTS the solo mission. Yeah, my mama told me, go play in traffic, son. Shut your mouth when I am talking, screaming every time she'd scold me. Family, the same old story. I begged to have a different one, but this is just what God had gave me. And so with him, I was done. And now you think that I could listen. I'd like to think my ears were plugged to rationality. It seemed my dreams only to be a thug. Yeah, it was hard when I grew up, but wasn't it like that for everyone? Deep down, the thumping inside my chest, my pride was found. A drive so bound for me to succeed, I told myself I'd show everyone, or at least so I thought. I knew my thoughts were different, and I dressed different, and I talked different, and I looked different, but could I be different? Or was I just thinking this way? No matter how much I wished to escape from my mental form of prison was not going to happen in a positive way. So everything changed. Oh, everything changed all right. Instead of incredible levels of pleasure, my devils awoke and I lost my sight. I lost sight of the light. It's not like I never knew wrong from right, but at the time, I knew it was drugs I liked. So I drank and I puffed and I loaded the pipe and I smoked up the night. Now, in case you don't know, this is a long, dark road. One that never should you travel alone. One where I chose in the beginning to go because I knew it would take me to the promise of hope. As a child, I always wondered what I'd be when I grew up. And I'm sure that we each have done. I want to be a hero or a Superman, Mom. I never wanted to be a bum. Insanity is waking up in the morning with the singular focus of self-destruction. Insanity is opening your eyes to say, I quit. Can you imagine the sight of your child's eyes, only to grow up thinking suicide? We take moments of silence for the soldiers we've lost, but what about those who still fight? The war against drugs was my battlefield, lived it, but I can say today I made it out with my life. So here's the question. What am I going to do with myself? Should I try to be a rapper with tracks on the shelf? Or maybe continue on a healthcare aid route? Maybe there's another way to help. You see, I've always been told that I had a big mouth. So you give me a pen and I'll write some things down. About all the struggles I faced as a child. About all the loving that I should have found. Man, forget about all of that. For you see, I want to write about what I'm going to do now. I want to write about the power of a crowd. About those who choose to listen. For that is the reason I speak. If I could make a living by making a difference, telling stories of how I was weak but grew strong. I grew strong because I couldn't quit. Because I knew that my words were a gift. But you have that gift too. Each one of you. And together we make a movement of souls, of poetic enlightenment grown from a word that one simple man wrote with a pen and a book meant for notes. Then they gave me a microphone in my hand. And so long ago I could not understand of how one day I would be able to stand, but if anything I can do can have a point or a purpose or a meaning, then hear me now as I spill out my heart and soul by simply telling you all this. That this, recovery, this is who I am. Thank you. Thank you. My next poem is entitled, What Have I Done? Where did it start from? When it all began. As I ran and I laughed and I played in the sand. Not a care in my mind or a worry, so I thought. For I must have done wrong for the trouble I got. What have I done? That's what I would ask. When a child is screamed at and punished and slapped, rules and expectations not met, so the stress and the fear and yes, more punishment. A child is innocent. This we all know, but from the beginning it seems I should have known how to be right and act in a way, how to handle my emotions and to know what to say. So this was the path, my journey been sent. So when I say, what have I done? You will know what I meant. And then it came time for me to make choices and choose between wrong and the right. For I knew, yes, inside, I sure knew what to do, but chose wrong and continued a life of mistakes, full of pain and the problems that piled up way, way too fast. What have I done to deserve all of this? Again, it would seem I could ask. And so became time to escape through the drugs and the drink and the partying ways. To use and abuse and consume, I would choose until that choice was taken away. For addiction used me. It was evil and greed, and to the depths of this hell I'd succumb. Once again in my sorrows, I'd look at myself and mutter out, what have I done? No family left, no friends or a life, and my health barely hung by a thread. Rack and bone, just a ghost, never eating or sleeping, with my teeth rotting out of my head. Isolated, alone, and afraid every day, and ashamed to look the world in the eyes. To my knees I had dropped, prayed to God, make it stop. It was time for a change for this guy. So what can I do? I'm alone, and the truth is I have no idea how to live. Had to give it my best and attempt to get right. They suggested in me, I would give. Yes, I gave it my all, and I pushed and I tried, and I knew that, yes, something had changed. For you see, I could laugh, I could cry, and be happy. It had seemed as though I had been saved. What have I done? I've done right. I've done good. So now what was there left to do? There's so much from the ground up to rebuilding a life. I was ready, and that was the truth. Or so I thought. For all of the work that I had put in, how quickly it crashed to the ground. Stability crumbled, trapped under the rubble, and this time was sure I'd stay down. You could never imagine just what it is like to lose to the demon of drugs, to sell off your soul and give up on your life, to have absolutely no control. What have I done? What have I done? What have I done to deserve all of this? This ain't me. This ain't life. This ain't fair. This ain't right. I hate you, God. I hate the world, and I quit. It is then in a moment when a man is most broken that a life takes a turn rarely seen. For the nightmare diminishes, the dark clouds dissipate, and you truly awake from this dream. So again I looked up from the bottomless pit and prepared for that treacherous climb. Shook away the depression, asked for help, took the lessons, and the fire came back to my eyes. I'm no longer afraid to face all my fears, to stand tall and look the world in the eyes. I no longer have doubt in myself. I push harder. I'm using my heart and my mind. I'll leave you with this, my positive message, as always, that I'm known to do. Today, I no longer ask, what have I done? I ask myself every day, what can I do? Thank you.
Michael Parkin, you are truly amazing. Your words touch our hearts. Thank you all for being here. That is the end of our speeches, but it is not the end of the day. We have 21 recovery agencies up there. Take a look at their booths, see what they have to offer, see how they can help you. Let's look at the awareness. We would like to thank our speakers, performers, and volunteers for everything. This day could not have happened without your help. The Recovery Day Planning Committee is so grateful to everyone. We would like to particularly thank Fresh Start, who donated their gym last night for our screening of Anonymous People. It is a powerful movie, and I recommend if you get the opportunity to see it, go see it. They also donated all the tables and chairs for today, so thank you, Fresh Start. We couldn't have done it without your support. This may be the end of the speeches, but for some of us, it's just the beginning. Hopefully, it is the spark inside you that will start to grow and ignite your own voice of recovery. I am proud to be part of a team that is bringing faces and voices of recovery to Canada. It has recently been founded by a group of dedicated recovery advocates. Our goal is to help build awareness, break social stigma, and bring people together in celebration of recovery. Together, we will demonstrate the power and proof of recovery from addiction and its value to individuals, families, and communities across Canada. We support all pathways to recovery from addiction, and of course, we support recovery initiatives such as Recovery Day. If you'd like more information, you can sign up at the Recovery Day booth, and when the Faces and Voices website is up, we will send you a message. In closing, for those who wish, please gather and join hands for the Serenity Prayer. We're going to do the Serenity Prayer. I have some closing words, and then Patrick's going to play some music, and I think we should all dance in the water. So I want to close with these words. Find something that you love to do and do it every day. Find something that moves through you choicelessly, effortlessly, and naturally without you doing anything at all. Something that makes you feel vibrantly alive. Something that totally absorbs you. Something that makes you forget about past and future and the burden of self. Something that feels deeply truthful to the very core of your being. Something that makes your life worth living. Something full of deep connection, and do it. Do it every day. Find a way of making a living out of it, or making your life an expression of it. Remember that when you focus on the destination, you miss the journey, which is where all of life is. True contentment will not come in the future by waiting for it. True contentment is knowing who you truly are today, being that and living that, and that is how futures are born. Thank you. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Hallelujah! Together we can, my friends. Let's dance.